Hello and welcome to the show. This is the Sales for the Nigerian Business Person podcast. It's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, or any podcast player of your choice. So subscribe for free once you're done listening to this episode, just in case you're using your web browser to listen. Today on the show, we have audio recordings from the WhatsApp School of Business program that I advertised on Saturday, the 15th of July 2023. The goal of the program was to introduce folks to the fundamentals of doing business in Nigeria and to show how sales and business development principles can help you overcome the harsh landscape of doing business in our dearly beloved country. I also wanted to answer general business questions posed by the participants, and the program was delivered entirely over WhatsApp for the course of more than 1 week. And this is an example of how you can get truly convenient business education in your pocket and learning over WhatsApp at your convenience. If you love what you hear on the podcast and you like daily access to me, to ask me questions related on how to sell in your business, then the WhatsApp Coaching Club is now open, and the investment required for that is only 5,000 naira a month. You ask me anything, I give you answers and assignments to move your business forward. So if you're interested, hit me up on the socials. Don't worry about how to spell my name. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, and my name, Tabashima Ayede, is the correct spelling. You can find it in the web browser where you're currently listening to this episode. You see the spelling of my name, the email address, and the photo, and it's also in the profile of the podcast app where you're currently listening to my voice. So Tavashima Ayede, the correct spelling of the name, is there. So if you're interested in the 5K, the WhatsApp Coaching Club, the 5K monthly investment, then let me know. Hit me up, send me a message on 080 6466 2140. The country code for Nigeria is +234. And for those of you who are trying to save to start a business, I'm affiliated with a reputable financial institution in Nigeria that has 504 billion naira in assets. And what that means is they're not going to go broke anytime soon. They're a secure organization to work with. They're not going to run away with your money anytime soon. They're in the business of protecting and guaranteeing your savings. This is not a bank, so you're not going to have an ATM card. You're not going to get hit by lots of miscellaneous fees. And you're going to get an interesting, or rather, you're going to get an improvement on the interest that you get from regular savings banks in Nigeria. And then, of course, this is safer than using loan sharks for the capital to start your business, because loan sharks are going to want to embarrass you and your whole family, and they want you to put your father and your mother up as credit. Sorry, not credit. What's that word? As collateral for the loan. So if you're interested, then hit me up on 080 6466 2140 to get started on saving towards your dream. Now remember, it doesn't have to be saving towards a business. Any savings plan will do. People have saved with this organization for their children's education. Let's say, like me, you have kids in primary school and you're wondering about secondary school and the all-expensive university education. And then, of course, folks like my mom saving towards retirement. So if you're interested, hit me up and let's get you started. Now, on with the episode for today. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 1st of August, 2023. So like I promised earlier, I'm here to answer questions from Mary Speaks. Again, not her real name. It's just the moniker that she uses over here on the group. And the question, my own summary of the question, I put up the actual text of the question in the group. So if you just click on the message that I hit reply to, you'll be able to see what her original question was. But this is my own summary. If you have an unregistered NGO, that is a non-governmental organization, or a not-for-profit organization, or a charity, they're called different things, then does that limit the amount of support that you can get? So all businesses in Nigeria, or rather all corporate organizations in Nigeria, whether it is me, who is a sales consultant doing my business solo, with a few other associates that I collaborate with from time to time, or whether the lawyer here on the group, or even if you own a small plant that manufactures pure water, you own it in your estate, all of us have to be registered by the Corporate Affairs Commission. Now the thing is, for me and for the lawyer and the architect on the group and the guy who produces pure water, we have to register as a business because for us, we have to take profits. So the money that I make from my business, that is what I use to pay rent, pay school fees, and if there's anything left, at least you get to travel or whatever. Then it's the same thing with the lawyer. The money that he makes, that is also what he needs for house rent, school fees, travel, NEPA, generator, you name it. And also the same thing with the guy who runs the pure water factory. But if you run an NGO, if you run a not for profit and you run a charity, any money that you make is supposed to be put back into the charitable cause. That is the thing that you're supposed to promote. So let's say that Mary Speaks, her NGO, is in the motherless babies space. Now, I don't know what type of NGO she does because she didn't respond to the messages on the group here when I asked for more details. The reason why I ask for details before I provide an answer is because I want the answer to be tailored, specific, and relevant to your own business circumstances, so I don't have to keep guessing. But since she hasn't responded, and since it's already 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I will just go ahead and make some assumptions so that you guys can get to see how sales and business development principles can apply even when we're talking about charities. And then she will also be able to see how it applies to charities, and then she can work out on her own how it applies to her own unique circumstances. So I will get to put the money in my pocket when I make a sale. But for Mary Speaks, if she's able to get some funding, she's supposed to take that funding and put it back into motherless babies' activities. That is funding orphanages or buying diapers for them, or maybe paying school fees for the children, or paying school fees for the carers, or salaries of the carers who take care of the children. But you get the idea. So the lawyer, me, the architect, the pure water guy, we put the money in our pockets and we spend it how we want. But for Mary Speaks, she has to take the money and throw it back into the charitable cause. In this case, I am guessing it is motherless babies. And by the way, it is a guess. She didn't say exactly what kind of charity she's involved in. And that's the reason why, if you ask a question here on the group, please provide some more details, especially when I ask you for the details. It will help me in formulating my answers. So, if you have a charity that you did not register with CAC, does that mean that the amount of support you're going to get is limited? The answer is maybe, because some donors and some volunteers expect everything to be official. They expect you to have CAC. They also expect you to have a FIRS, inland revenue, that all your papers are correct. They expect you to have, okay, if you're working with motherless babies now, for instance, I'm thinking in Abuja anyway, you will have to register with AMAC, that's the Abuja and Municipal Area Council or something like that. They'll have to visit to be sure that your facilities are healthy enough to take care of children. You also need to register with fire service, since you have children. Remember, this is a guess I'm making. So, fire service, to be sure that your building is safe enough for all the children to be there. And there are some people that will not do business with you except if every single thing is in check. CAC, fire, health and water, what else? Sanitation, all the certifications that you need. So, unfortunately, yes, there are some people that will refuse to do business with you if you don't have all your quali, if you don't have all your paper. Now, but does this mean that you are not going to get any donors? That nobody will give you money? Or does it mean that nobody is going to volunteer and give you time and give you resources? Because some people will give you a check. Now, some other people that will say, I don't have money, but I have 3 cartons of Indomie at home. Come and take 2, used to feed the children. So, is it possible that because you don't have all these registrations, nobody at all will give you money, nobody at all will give you time, nobody at all will give you resources? The answer is no. That is not the case. Some folks will help. And we're going to find out how sales and business development skills are relevant to helping you solve these problems. Now, the reason why sales and business development skills apply here is because everybody is trying to sell something. I am trying to sell consultancy services. The lawyer is trying to sell legal services. The architect is trying to sell you on the fact that he can design your house or your factory the best. The pure water person is trying to sell you on the fact that he has the best, the cleanest, the freshest water in town. Mary Speaks is trying to sell other people that she is the right person to solve this particular problem in this particular way. So all of us are selling something. It's just that I'm putting the money in my pocket. The lawyer is putting the money in his pocket. Mary Speaks has to take the money and put it back to the charitable cause. But all of us are selling something. So even for those of you here who run NGOs, don't kid yourself. You are also salespeople. So let's get that into our heads. We have to imbibe it. We are salespeople. So Mary Speaks is trying to sell a cause. She's trying to sell a vision. And sales and business development is a discipline that is concerned about that. If you have something that you're trying to sell, how do you go about selling it? How do you go about promoting it? In fact, if you take this thing much more seriously, that is fundraising for charities and things like that, in those circles, they like to call it fund development. I think because if they keep calling themselves marketers or whatever, you seem somehow. Like you say you're a marketer and you expect me to give you money and you say you would embezzle it. So they call themselves something else. They call themselves fund development. And yes, they can continue calling themselves fund development, but whether they like it or not, they are also marketers. It's just that when I market, I put the money in my pocket. When they market, they have to give the money to the charitable cause. So it's called fund development in the NGO space, in the not for profit space. So, where was I? Okay, so what does sales have to say? Number one, credibility. If you want to close the sale, you have to show that you are credible. And credibility here is important to closing the deal or to getting funds or to getting volunteers. And credibility is not just credibility, there's competence. And credibility and competence basically just means it is believable. People want to see you and know that, okay, Mary Speaks, she doesn't look like a runs girl. If we give her this money, it's going to go to the motherless babies. Mary Speaks, she doesn't look like she's greedy. If we give it to her, it's not going to go to her children's school fees. It is going to go to the motherless babies. So this is what credibility, competence, all these things are all about. Because somebody might even appear credible. The person doesn't look like a runs girl, but you don't want to give her the money because you think this girl has not done this kind of work before. If we give her this 500k, she's going to waste this 500k because it doesn't look like she has done this job before. So, from a sales perspective, we should always be worried about our credibility and our competence. So, if you appear credible and you appear competent, it looks like you know what you're talking about, it looks like you've done this before, then you're going to get the deal, you're going to get the funds, sorry, I'm going to get the volunteers. So, competence, credibility, it's all about looking believable, that you can do the job and that you are also the expert. If you look like you're an honest person, but then you look like this is your first time of doing it, people will not want to give the funds to you or support you. So yes, registration with the CAC and all these other bodies are important because it affects your credibility. But that's not the only thing. So you can establish credibility with your NGO by doing something that the rest of us do in other businesses. Number one, case studies and testimonials. That is something that we use here in the consulting space, and it's something that you can use for your NGO. So yes, you are not registered by CAC, and yes, you do not have the backing of AMAC and what's it called, Federal Fire Service and all these other people. But if you have case studies and testimonials that these are the photos of the houses where our children are, we have 50 children in house A, 100 children in house B. You also have videos. These are the children during school. These are the children during feeding. These are the activities that we organize, things like that. All these are case studies and all these are testimonials. Videos of people saying that they have worked with you before, or people who are willing to get on the phone to say that, yes, we have supported this young lady before in her fight for the motherless babies and things like that. So the projects that you're working on now, the previous projects that you've worked on last year, 2 years ago, things like that. Even like supply slips. Like people who give donations. So let's say Indomie. I don't know the company that makes Indomie. So let's say the company that makes Indomie, they gave you 10 cartons last year. They gave you supply slip. You have all these things that you can show people that are case studies, that are testimonials that show that you're not just the JJC. you've been in this thing for a while. You've been helping motherless babies in motherless babies' homes, in IDP camps, things like that. Then, apart from case studies and testimonials, there's the thing about commonality and rapport. That's basically just striking up conversations with people to show that you guys have similar interests and similar objectives. Because like I said, if it looks like you want to be a sharp guy and you want to keep the money for yourself, nobody's going to want to put their foot forward to support you. But if it looks like both of you are thinking along the same lines, you have the same interest, then people might be willing to take that step, even if you don't have CAC and all the other registration. So commonality and rapport, we build that by using conversation techniques and questioning techniques. So that's about how you talk to people. We've already done 12 minutes. That can take a lot of time. So let me just skip that part. Then competence. Okay, so competence shows that you can do the job. Okay, it's almost like the same thing as case studies and testimonials. So in this case, if you have certifications that you've done before or awards, because there are some people that go to do some work in local governments. Like for instance, in my mom's village, there are some people that went to go and do help to repair the school. They just change the paint, put some desks, do some small building work to support the school, because the school has not been, since my mom graduated from that school, the school has not been worked on. It's still the same buildings. And then as a sign of thank you, because the community doesn't have any money, there's no way they can say thank you. So really, all they will do when you come and you work on the school is some people organize and cook pounded yam for you, and then they'll print off some certificate of gratitude or something. If you've done something like that and they gave you that certificate, that's also a sign of competence because of the certificates you have. Now, these are the certificates that women in Abaji community gave me, in Buari community gave me, in this community, in that community. Sorry, one moment, the call is coming through. Let me see if I can stop this. Okay, yes, I've been able to stop phone call. Where was I? So you can, sorry, one moment. I'm still trying to cut this call. Okay, where was I? Okay, yes. So I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, so the certificate that you get, yes, that's a sign of competence. You can use that to show people. That way you can get volunteers and you can get some more money. So sales and conversational skills come in very, very handy. They can lead to people donating money and giving resources. Okay, yes. I was talking about sales conversational skills. That's where I lost my train of thought. So, the conversational skills that we've discussed on the group in the past, even when we're answering the questions from OSE, the architect, was about how sales can be divided into three stages. There is prospecting, there is qualification, and then there is discovery. And those also apply here. For those of you who want to know what those things are in detail, just let me know. I'll send you a podcast recording that I made on that particular subject. But I'll just try and give a brief overview so you can see how it applies, since we've hit 15 minutes now. Prospecting. You're looking for people who might be interested in your product or your service. In this case, you're looking for people who might be interested in your cause. And for prospecting to work, you should only be targeting people who have that need, the want, the interest. So in this case, we're talking motherless babies. So maybe you'd be looking at churches and mosques. And maybe you might also be looking at NEMA. That's the Nigerian Environmental. Is it environmental? No, Nigerian Emergency Management something something. The people that come whenever there's a flood, or like that time that there was supposed to have been an earthquake, I think in Kaduna or someplace. Basically these are the people that show up where you have national emergencies. Large scale flooding, things like that. An arm of the federal government. So those are the kind of people you might be talking to in your prospecting. It might not make sense in this case, since you don't have CAC, to approach United Nations and to approach AIDA. United Nations, that's international. AIDA, I think that's American Aid. Is it American Aid something something? And then there's also JIDC, that's Japan International Development Commission, something like that. Approaching those people, those big boys and those big girls, that might not make sense because you guys are not quite aligned. Churches and mosques. for them, registration is important, but for them, they just want to get the job done. If it looks like you're getting the job done, they can partner with you, even if they will tell you that, look, young girl, please go and get this CAC. It will be better. It will be good for you that way. The same thing with NEMA. NEMA just wants to get the job done, and in extreme cases, I guess they won't have any problems working with you. But UN, ADA, those are the people that want to be sure that you are meeting all the local laws of the land. So when you're prospecting, I mean, target the right people from the get-go. Don't go to UN and ADA and GIDC and then be disappointed that they didn't give you any money. You guys are not aligned. But if you go to churches and mosques, like the local Redeemed Church or local Catholic Church that is next to you, then you might expect to receive some cooperation. Then there's also, okay, yes, qualification. Qualification is the part of the sales process. We're worried about whether we're talking to the right person and whether the person has authority to go ahead. So, like I said, sorry, excuse me. Like I said, you could go see the church, but you want to be sure when you get to the church, you want to know whether you're talking to the church senior pastor or whether it's just the church secretary or the sacristan that you're talking to. Because at the end of the day, the church secretary, she might want to help you, but she has no authority to give out funds. The church senior pastor, on the other hand, the guy might have the authority to give out the funds. There are some other churches that have, beyond the senior pastor, they have a board of something. I can't remember. The church board of something. So you want to, sorry, excuse me, I've been talking all day. You know, that's what we consultants do. Always on the phone, always teaching and talking. So you want to be sure that you're talking to the right person, the person has the right authority. So don't spend too much time talking with the church secretary. You should be talking to the church secretary, hoping to figure out who it is that you need to talk to, whether it's senior members of the board or whether you should be talking with the senior pastor, and get the church secretary, especially if she likes you and she's interested in this ministry, to hook you up with the right people. It's the same thing if you're talking to NEMA or you're talking to NYSC, because NYSC sometimes they help out in these sorts of things. So if you're talking to NYSC, you want to know whether you are talking to desk officer. Desk officers have no authority. A desk officer's job is the paper will come to him, he will sign, he will mean it, he will pass it along. That person has no authority to make sure that you are giving any kind of money or assistance, except if personally the guy wants to help you out. So you should be trying to figure out, should I be talking to DG? Okay, maybe DG is too high up, but what about field officer, liaison officer? You can be talking to those kinds of people. Those are the right kind of people who might be able to advise you better that, okay, this year there's no budget, but next year make sure you come March because budget will be drawn up in, in May or something. You stand a better chance. So those are the kind of conversations you'll be having, and that's why sales skills of qualification are really, really important. Then there's discovery. You want to be sure that you are truly aligned around a problem. So I've spoken about churches, I've spoken about NEMA, NYSC, and we're pretending right now that Mary Speaks. She's involved in motherless babies' homes. If you're involved in motherless babies' homes, NEMA and NYC, they might be more concerned with IDPs, war, terrorism, people that have been displaced. But motherless babies, maybe not. You shoot your shot, yeah, but the thing is, you just make sure that you're speaking to people that you are aligned around the problems. If your thing is motherless babies, then maybe church and mosque, but not NEMA and maybe not IDP, except if the a community was overwhelmed by floods and all their parents died and then maybe 40 children survived. Okay, if you're approaching NEMA, then I guess it will make sense because that's what they do, national emergencies. Then, sales skills. We can also help you get more volunteers. On the prospecting and qualification front, only talk to people who are already disposed to helping you out. Mothers who have given birth to stillborns, those people who have a soft spot for motherless babies, things like that. You can be looking for those sorts of communities of people, either on Facebook or in real life in your church or in the office. There are some people who are successful in the workplace, but truly they were orphans. They were raised by some motherless babies home, like that really popular one. I think I can't remember if it was in Ilorin or so, but the woman who started it, I think she died a few years ago. So some of the orphans that finished from there were thinking of continuing to run the place. So those sorts of people, you can approach them because it's their thing, so they will be concerned. Then you can meet church organizations that have similar interests. These are the sorts of people that you can get to volunteer with you because you guys are already aligned. Then discovery, it's also the same thing. Approach people that have intense alignment around these goals. Don't go and approach Ray Power TV or Ebony Live TV for volunteers or something like that, because they might be more concerned, and this is a guess, with homeless teens in the arts or things like that, not necessarily with motherless babies. This is just my own guess. I'm freestyling here. Then, but the bottom line is sales and business development skills can help anyone, any business, any enterprise, whether you're involved in business, like the lawyer here who is collecting millions every day, or the architect who is also collecting millions every quarter for building designs and stuff like that. So whether you're for profit, whether you're an NGO, whether your thing is environmental, or whether your thing is sustainable and developmental goals, things like that, you want to see how the girl child is being educated properly in the Northeast, things like that. Sales and business development skills can help, and they do help. It's just that they call it different things in different organizations. So, like I said, I have made plenty assumptions in this answer. That's because I had very little detail to work with. So please, if you put a question and I send you a message, I need those details so that the answer will be tailored. If it's tailored, you know what you can do, how you can go and excuse me, start acting on that advice. So please engage in the chat, give me more details, more backgrounds, and then I can give you more accurate and relevant answers. Now, if you've heard all these things and it looks like all these things are making sense, you have similar problems, then what to do next? You can book a private consultation so I can help you solve your business problems. You can also join the paid group. It's only 5K monthly. And there, I and other members of the group are going to hold you accountable, because over here, I'm giving out free solutions. I'm saying giving you all my ideas. I'm not charging for anything. But in the paid group, what we're going to do is we are, sorry, phone call again. One moment. Okay, where was it? Okay, yes. So I was saying, what to do next? Yeah, private consultations, and then you can also join the paid WhatsApp group, because in the paid WhatsApp group, what I'm doing is I don't just give you all these ideas. I also now say what the next step is. If you're going to approach NEPA, this is how. Sorry, NEMA. This is how you go about it. If you're going to talk to the church secretary, this is the script you're going to use. Blah blah blah. We now work on application and execution. So over here, the information you're getting is free, but it's just a solution. On the paid group, what we're going to do is solution plus application plus execution to make sure that you're successful at the end of the day. And yeah, so that's it. I'll check back in a few hours to see if anybody else has questions on the group.